This is the Barbados Today morning news for Thursday, November 14. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Fifth formers at Frederick Smith Secondary will now return to school on Friday and not today as planned following last week's fatal stabbing. The Ministry of Education says the delay is to allow for continued counseling for teachers and ancillary staff today. Education Minister Santia Bradshaw will address 5th and upper 5th form students when they return on Friday. Meanwhile, one parent is calling for officers from the Barbados Defence Force to be deployed at secondary schools across the island in a bid to reduce school violence. Roberta Seeley's call comes as parents, teachers and students are continuing to struggle to come to terms with the incident. She says the students have lost respect for the teachers and the police, but she believes the soldiers will turn the situation around.
If you put the soldiers in the school, you will see a drastic turnaround. Because if you don't start doing something now, like today, we ain't got no more young people. We ain't got more young people and more mothers and fathers crying. You understand? And right now, that incident that happened at school should have never happened at the school. It should have never happened.
Seeley also called for tightened security at the school, saying that children are scared to return.
There's a girl I know that lives in this village, and she was crying all from since that incident happened at school. And I think she's still crying. You understand? And she don't want to go to school. My niece don't want to go to school. There's other children I could tell you out there that don't want to go to school. So what we gonna do with these children when they don't want to go to school no more? Tell me. What we gonna do with the ones now that are afraid and walking with weapons in school now? You understand? To protect themselves, because this is them telling themselves, I'm protecting myself. But they don't know the dangers of walking with these things.
And President of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Mary Redmond, wants authorities to address the issue of violence in schools as a matter of urgency. She told a meeting of BSTU members the problem has been allowed to continue for too long.
Violence in schools is a scourge that has been allowed to remain unaddressed, to fester and explode into our current situation despite the warnings and pleadings from both teachers' unions. This attitude and lack of action in an era where the video clips, voice notes, and horror movie type stories provided gruesome detail and evidence of our daily realities in too many school settings. Yet nothing was done to address the fact that too many students undoubtedly demonstrate neither regard nor respect for positions of authority or for law and order in the school or the wider society, whether these are represented by teachers, principals, or police. Too many unleash terror on fellow students and teachers, principals and police, and it goes unpunished.
In other news this morning, the Barbados Bar Association's disciplinary committee has adjourned a hearing against attorney Phillip Nicholls until February next year. Nicholls was taken before the committee after he failed to account for $860,000, the proceeds of sale of a property formerly owned by John and Hazel Connor in 2008. The matter was heard in the No. 1 Supreme Court yesterday by Justices K. Goodridge, William Chandler, and Rahendra Narain. There were earlier press reports that the Bar Association's disciplinary committee had planned to recommend to the Court of Appeal that Nicholls be disbarred, but no such action was taken during the sitting. It was revealed that while the court, the disciplinary committee, and the Bar Association were in receipt of the report, neither Nicholls nor the Solicitor General had received it. A source said the court admitted that it did not have all the necessary documents and ordered all of the parties to be served. Government's plans to demolish one of Bridgetown's landmark buildings and remodel it into a massive recreational space appears to be moving closer to fruition. Barbados Today understands that officials in the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Barbados Fire Service have started discussing the need to safeguard the health of fire officers at the nearby Bridgestown Fire Station in preparation for the planned demolition. Karim Smith has that story.
The development is consistent with a promise made by Prime Minister Mia Mottley last July as she addressed a crowd gathered at Golden Square, the city, during celebrations for the Day of National Significance. At the time, she said the building, which had been riddled with health and environmental issues, was ruining the beauty of the historic city and could be also affecting the health of those traversing the island's capital. Recently, workmen also started clearing space for a brand new Fairchild Market opposite the former National Insurance building, and nearby vendors have expressed hope that their now deplorable conditions would be improved. When contacted about the work to be carried out on the former NIS building, Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson, whose ministry covers the Barbados Fire Service, said he could not comment on something he was not officially aware of and suggested Barbados Today contact his permanent secretary for comment. Meanwhile, Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard acknowledged some discussions had occurred but said he could not speak at length about the plans at this time as specified timelines had not yet been set. Kareem Smith for Barbados Today.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgestown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgestown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry wants a review of Guyana's relationship with CARICOM. The Chamber's Senior Vice President, Timothy Tucker, told a press conference on Wednesday that Guyana has been shortchanged in trade with its regional neighbors over the years.
At this point in time, from a trade and investment standpoint, right, we do not see the relevancy of CARICOM. It's helping us as a growing nation, but I'm not at the position to say to you, we should exit CARICOM.
On the international scene, the outgoing president of the European Council, Donald Tusk, has told British voters not to give up on Brexit. Tusk warned that Britain will lose influence in international affairs and become a second-rate player after it leaves the European Union.
If you allow me, I want to tell you something I wouldn't have dared to say a few months ago, as I could be fired for being too frank. And today it is simply too late to impeach Donald, at least the European one. In fact, I envy John Bercow that he can finally honestly say what he thinks about Brexit. One of my English friends is probably right when he says with melancholy that Brexit is the real end of the British Empire. The UK election takes place in 1 month. Can things still be turned around? Hannah Arendt taught that things become irreversible only when people start to think so. So the only words that come to my mind today are simply, don't give up. In this match, we had added time, now we are in extra time. Perhaps it will even go to penalties.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good morning.